Am I the idiot for asking my step-siblings to take a DNA test? I, female 34, am the firstborn child from my father's, male 68, second marriage. My dad married his previous wife, female 60s, most likely above 65, very young as she had gotten pregnant with my oldest half-brother, Mark, male 48. They had 2 more children in total together, Mindy and Martin, female 44, 40M. They got divorced because his previous wife was cheating on him with another married man. He later on married my mom a few years later, and we're 4 siblings in total, me, Adam, Anna, and Aaron, male 30, female 26, 23M. There have always been rumors that my 2 youngest half-siblings, Mindy and Martin, aren't my dad's but the AP's children, but we've dismissed them as we don't have much of a relationship with them from the get-go. Their mother is a really toxic person who we've avoided most of our lives, and because of her the relationship between our step-siblings has always been strained. Dad is a hugely successful business owner, and he has always provided for all his children. He has paid for all our education so we all could live a debt-free life, has helped with businesses or getting us work, even helped us buy our own homes. A few years ago, when Martin was jailed for fraudulent checks, my father paid off all his fines, bail and lawyer fees, which included the amount he owed, all $300K in total. Yet he hasn't received so much as a thank you from any of my half-siblings. On the other hand, they constantly fight with him, accusing him of liking my siblings and I over them, and resenting my mother for no apparent reason. They've always used their father as a money bag and felt entitled to it. In fact, Mark recently came over to Dad and told him that he needs to know what Dad intends to leave them in his will to make sure they will be treated fairly. This pissed me off, as Dad is healthy and fit as ever. I suggested all of Dad's children take a DNA test, then we can go over his will and what he wishes to leave us. Apparently this was the wrong thing to say. Soon I was getting angry calls from my half-siblings and their mother calling me all sorts of names, and my stepmother even called me a wicked, foolish little wench. While Dad hasn't said much on the matter, he has become awfully quiet, which is what he does when he's upset, whether it's with me or my half-brother, which I'm unsure about. My mother did say that I shouldn't have said anything, knowing how volatile my stepmother and step-siblings can be, and we could have dealt with this issue when the time was right. So am I the idiot here? Edit. Apologies, as I'm not a native English speaker, but I meant half-siblings and previous wife instead of step-siblings and stepmother. Edit. I feel there needs to be more backstory, as some of you think I'm being greedy or want the money for myself. That's not the case. While I thank my dad, as I wouldn't be where I am today without his help, I'm very financially stable and can live a comfortable life without his inheritance. Same goes for most of my siblings. Only the youngest, who has chosen to join my father's business, is slightly dependent on him, but he is a very hard worker, and my father is very proud of him. As for my half-siblings, when we were kids, my father tried to take Mark under his wing and had him join the company. Taught him all the ropes, and as in every work environment, you're expected to wake up early and do your job. Mark didn't like this, calling my father a bad father, as he was spoiling us rotten, yet expected him to act as his slave. He was an adult then, but wanted to be treated the same as a child, to wake up late, not have any responsibilities, and get paid for doing basically nothing. His mother backed him up and bad-mouthed my father wherever she went. After a huge fight where he insulted my father in front of his employees, my dad fired him. Mark says he quits. It was the same with the other 2. Mindy started a fight, bringing her mother along to face my father as to why her mother doesn't have nice jewelry like my mother does, and how he raised them in poverty. My father's business was in the early stages then, but they were far from poor. They went to the best private schools, and my father got their mother diamond rings, expensive necklaces, and even bought her gold bangles from a trip to Iran. Yes, it wasn't as much as today, but they still felt she was entitled to the same treatment as his current wife, my mother. All the while, their mother sat silent, acting like the victim. That's why I say this isn't the first time they've done this, and I hate to see my dad's blood pressure go up because of them. He's the type of person who'll go silent when angry, then blow up like a volcano when provoked to the point of no return. And it's always because of my half-siblings. This might seem like a lie, but we value our father more than the money. So I told them to get a DNA test to put them in their place. The money they feel entitled to, and the father they have been bad-mouthing all these years, all for a woman who has been lying and manipulating them all their lives. Yes, I did it out of pettiness, but if I'm being honest, I don't regret it one bit. In fact, I wish I had said it sooner. I'll take the idiot title with pride if it comes to it. Edit. I meant half-siblings, not step-siblings, and my father's previous wife, not stepmother. That's what we call them in my language, so I confused the 2 in my previous post. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You're the idiot. Your dad obviously knows that there's a chance any of the older kids may not be his, since the SM cheated on him, and that's why they divorced, but obviously he's still treating them the same. If he had any reservations, he could have gotten a paternity test in any of the previous 40+ years since they've been born. A paternity test probably will not matter, as he's been treating these kids as his since they've been born. It's none of your goddamn business who or what he leaves in his will, or whether they are or are not his biological children. I know Mark was being rude and asking what he was going to get, but your snarky remark did not make anything better. You need to apologize to your dad. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. Bringing up the will was tacky, yes? But it's not your place to tell your dad who his real kids are and push for DNA tests. Now for the update. The last few days have been eventful to say the least. After the original post, I sat down with my dad and we talked about the issue a bit. I began by apologizing if my behavior upset him, and if he wants me to never bring up the issue again, I won't. He laughed for a bit, as is his nature, then told me how he always liked that I check up on him. It's been a habit of mine ever since I was a kid to check up on my parents if they were upset with me after I had done something that didn't please them. We reminisced a few of those stories before he got to the point. Obviously, the thought that Martin and Mindy might not be his had crossed his mind, but in our culture, being an illegitimate child, or having an affair, or the fact that your wife cheated on you with another man is thought as shameful at the time, so not many people knew outside the family. That's why his previous wife was able to twist the narrative and blame my father and his family for abandoning them. She told her children that my father's sister conspired against her and my dad threw her out, which was why they had so much resentment for him and his family all these years. My father said he doesn't give much value to money, as over the years he's seen many losses and many profits, but he wants to keep his name, so he asked me to never bring up the issue as long as he's alive. Although he did give us the option to seek it after his death. I apologized to him again profusely and told him I'm not interested in ever bringing up the subject ever again. I'm also thinking of talking with my own siblings, and I think they'll be understanding and will accept Dad's wishes. My dad also said while he has had his doubts about Martin, he feels Mindy is his, as she has a striking resemblance to his mother. She died when my dad was 14, and the only picture we have of her is really blurry, so I can see how we missed that. Dad also asked me to be in charge of going over his will with the others, but I told him that was a bad idea, as Mark wouldn't take it well after our last confrontation, so I suggested an older cousin who's a bit younger than Mark. While the cousin is fair and neutral on the subject, Mark doesn't like him one bit cause he's a really successful businessman and Mark is all talk and no show, so it'll be entertaining to say the least. Then I got a call from Mindy last night. I thought she'd blow up on me, but she was very civil the whole time. Out of the three, Mindy is probably the only one who has had some sort of a fatherly relationship with Dad, and the few times she has lashed out was most likely under the influence of her mother. She opened up to me how she has had doubts about her identity her whole life, and me bringing it up really hurt her. I can't go over the whole conversation because of the character limit, but I got what you all were saying. I truly was TA. I never thought that my comments, which I thought were only targeting Mark, could hurt so many people. I ended up apologizing to her and told her how wrong I was and that I had no intention of bringing up the subject ever again. I won't go over the details of Dad's will cause it doesn't matter except my inheritance. While still a lot of money, I won't lie about that, is on the smaller side compared to the others, half-siblings included, and that was the intention even before the argument, as I'm the most financially well-off amongst the siblings. I realize now how wrong I was, and from now on if I feel the need to defend myself against Mark, or his mother, or anyone else, I'll make sure my comments don't hurt anyone else. Thanks to everyone for opening my eyes to how wrong I was. Comment 1. I remember reading your original post, thanks for the update. I didn't even consider you a huge idiot in your posts, but you sound like you have the humility to learn so much from others, especially your father. He sounds like such a reasonable and wise man, and I'm sure he's really proud of how you've turned out. Kudos to you for always striving to be better despite having that one really shitty half-sibling, Mark. Then the original poster responded with, "Thank you, I agree, he is a great man who didn't deserve any of this. I was just being foolish by bringing this up, and that unknowingly I hurt a lot of people, but mostly my dad. I won't worry about Mark, he has kept to himself, and Dad has chosen to go no contact with him. My cousin and the lawyers will be doing all the talking from now on. He won't take this lightly, but he'll have to deal with it." Then another commenter responded with, "Your father is no contact with Mark, but he is still planning on giving him an inheritance?" To which the original poster responded with, "Mark will get an inheritance eventually, for now he will just get to know what he'll get. It's definitely life-changing money, but knowing Mark I know he still won't be happy about it, and how it's unfair to him. That doesn't matter anymore anyway, as it's Dad's final decision and not his." Comment 2. I am glad that you have taken a step back to see how your words can hurt many, whether or not that was the intention. It looks like you guys will be able to move past this and possibly be better for it. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for getting my niece's teacher in trouble? Both my sister and brother-in-law work during the week, with my brother-in-law being off Tuesday and Thursday. My sister is only off on weekends, so they needed someone to watch their kid during the days on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. My class schedule allows for me to watch my niece those days, as my classes are online, so I can watch her during the school day. So at the beginning of this school year, my sister emailed the teacher of my niece, 7, that I would be the one assisting and watching the kid as I stated above, and gave permission that she could pass along information on what assignments are due or how to do it, but that if she had a problem she could email my sister or talk to my brother-in-law on the days he is off. The teacher responded, and we didn't have any trouble until recently. My niece does her classwork in my sister's office as it has less distractions for her. I sit in the corner of the room at my sister's desk out of view of the camera, where I can keep an eye on my niece at her desk while doing my own work. My niece has a learning disability, so she needs to be monitored constantly. Well, yesterday my niece got distracted as usual, and the few times I told her to pay attention didn't work, so I got up from my seat and went over to her and gently touched her shoulder and told her to focus. I was on the camera for maybe 10 seconds at most. Well, after class the teacher called for my niece's parents, and I walked over to respond. She asked where they were, and I informed her that both my sister and brother-in-law were at work and that I could take a message. She refused and said she would email my sister, but that she wanted to talk to me. The teacher told me that I had bothered my niece and should have stayed out of the camera view. I apologized and said I didn't mean to stir any trouble. I was just trying to get my niece back on track. I asked a few questions about the assignments that were due that day, and she refused to tell me. She stated that I was a stranger, and she didn't have permission to tell that information. I informed her she did have permission, as my sister had sent that email stating so. She said my niece could have her parents help her with the homework. Mind you that this homework was due by a certain time, and neither of them got home until way after it was due. I tried telling her this, but she wouldn't listen and ended the meeting. My sister got an email from the teacher scolding her for letting a stranger help my niece with class, and that as my niece's parents, they should be the ones watching her and assisting with class. She furthermore went on to say I was distracting my niece and that I appeared on camera view on purpose to disrupt her class. My sister flipped and emailed the principal, and the teacher got reprimanded. And this morning at class the teacher mentioned in passing that I had gotten her in trouble, and it was rude of me to not talk to her about this stuff. So Reddit, am I the idiot for getting my niece's teacher in trouble? Edit. The principal has been informed of the snide comments the teacher made during my niece's class on Monday. My brother-in-law scheduled a meeting with the principal for Thursday via Zoom, and I have been asked to join since this issue includes me. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot at all. My wife is a special education teacher, and teaching kids with learning disabilities through distance learning is difficult enough. I've heard it because I'm in the same room also working from home. The teacher brought this upon herself. Comment 2. Not the idiot. She's an idiot. Your sister already covered that you would be helping with school. I get that teachers have a bunch of students to keep track of, but she didn't even try to check for the permission you told her about before mouthing off to your sister. She deserves it. Now for the update. At first the principal refused to hold the conference that my sister requested, but he changed his tune quickly when my sister in all her glory had sent the email to the principal saying he better listen to both sides of the story or she would unleash all 7 levels of hell upon the school in the form of lawsuits, which my sister said she had the right to do. My brother-in-law, sister, me, the principal and the teacher to discuss what transpired. The principal had the teacher explain her side first. She told the principal how I had interrupted her class on purpose and distracted my niece from her classwork. I then told my side and mentioned the snide comment that she had made to me the very next time I was with my niece. At first the principal said that there was no concrete proof of what had happened, and it was basically my word against hers. The teacher looked so smug at this, but that fell quickly when we mentioned the class had been recorded. One of my niece's accommodations while doing online classes is the lessons are recorded so she can replay them to better understand the lesson, and the 2 days worth of videos caught the teacher red-handed in her lies and shows what happened. Well, in the end, with the proof from the class recording, it was enough to get the teacher beyond just in trouble. She was fired. Apparently other parents had complained about this teacher, but they didn't have the proof to prove it until my niece's accommodation caught it. As of now, they have a substitute teacher filling in until they can find a new teacher, which according to the principal should be ready to teach in 2 weeks' time. That is all that happened. The teacher went in thinking she wouldn't get in trouble, but we managed to get her fired and get justice for all the other people who had complained about her. Comment 1. That type of jerk has no business being an educator. Thanks for the update. Comment 2. Good. Teachers like that can end up ruining the school experience for a lot of children. Also, a lesson for the teacher: don't start poop, won't be poop. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.